So welcome to the AM show, and it's time for us to go into what the papers are reporting this morning. But trust that it will be full of what happened, yesterday at the Black Star Square, the historic moment where Ghana cemented its role as a leading democracy in the sub-region. Of course, we've been a beacon of hope for Africa in terms of democracy for a long time. And yesterday, we really showcased why we are revered in terms of democracy. Sudi, let's go to the papers and see what...
Yes, but our guest joining us to help us review the newspapers is Dr. Kwame Asasanti, and he joins us via Zoom. Doc, thank you so much. Yesterday, you spent some time with us, and we are grateful to have you again this morning.
Good morning, friends, and good morning to our viewers as well. Yes, it was a good day yesterday.
Right. So, Doc, let's get straight into your trail of thoughts. You have to share some thoughts with us this morning. Let's get right into it.
Right. Let me look at yesterday what happened. As a student of democracy, yesterday, democracy was reborn. Why am I saying that? More often than not, you tend to have democracy and you tend to also have reversals, like what we are seeing in the sub-region, where military have had field day and then they are doing their own thing. We have worked hard and we've been able to vote, and the loser of the election, without any force on him, accepted defeat, and we move on to another level. The difficult level is that sometimes elections are won and those leaving office are not prepared to disengage or hand over power. But we crossed that river yesterday with a smooth transition of power. And for me, that is what gladdens my heart, that power change from a government in office to an opposition. And gradually, it tells me that we are deepening and consolidating our democracy. I was, very much happy with that. And I'll urge my countrymen that let us continue, in spite of the difficulties that we have in our society, in spite of the challenges that are ahead, let us have faith in democracy. And then make sure that we also apply our shoulders to the wheels and then work and support democracy. In no time, we'll reap the dividends.
Right.
It is true that sometimes it takes time, but I know one day we'll reap the dividends. Yesterday, look at how everybody was happy. That is the spirit behind democracy. Let's consolidate it. Let's work all the fine details and let's strengthen its frontiers.
Thank you so much,
Wow.
Dr. Kwame Asasanti. You have some thoughts to
No,
share?
I mean, I agree with him that, you see, democracy as we do practices has its own downturns. But I always say that the positives are that much. So let's look at it. We may not derive the sort of benefit we want now. But in the interim, and yesterday he said something, that they witnessed military those days. So in the beginning, they will say, oh, everything is fine. But in the long term, they won't deliver to you the sort of value that you want. So let's stick with democracy, no matter how bad it is. I think this is the best we can have. Let's just try to refine it and get leaders who will be accountable to us. Like we've done, if we continue to show them that we have the power, they will come and do what we want.
Right.
If you don't do it, we'll kick you out of power.
I think at this point, it's no longer NDC and PP. What's outstanding would be that those 4 disputed constituents that are still, unresolved. But let's see how that also is resolved. So let me start with my newspaper, the Ghanaian Times, and I like what they've done with the front page. We have the photo of the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, in that beautiful outfit he wore yesterday. And of course, I must say, Emmanuel Jivenu's report, fantastic report on the outfit of the president. But let me get into it now. So the first story here, son arrested for allegedly killing mother with pestle after a history of threats. I thought we were going to start on a rather exciting note. So a 26-year-old farmer, Yao Nimwa, has been arrested by the Dambai Police Command for allegedly killing his mother, Madam Salome Amasewa, a 60-year-old woman with a pistol at Yabram, a suburb of the Oti regional capital, Dambai. And Mr. Philip, the assembly member of the Kwame Ekura East electoral area, told Ghana News Agency that the suspect had a long history of threatening his mother with cutlass on several occasions. Well, I guess then it's good news that the police picked him up. And Fire Guards Kantamanto Market, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia Lanchiramantin supports traders. We know that both of them donated 200,000 Ghana cedis from Baumia and 100,000 Ghana cedis from Alan Shermanting. Ninth Parliament takes off. 275 MPs sworn in. Ablekuma North results pending. All right. That's an update. And the Ninth Parliament of the Fourth Republic of Ghana was, in the wee hours of yesterday, inaugurated for a 4-year term. And in all, 275 of the 276 newly elected MPs were inducted into office. And of course, the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, retains his seat. Let me quickly add 3 more headlines, and then we come to you, Doc, for your reflections. World leaders, others congratulate President John Dramani Mahama. Of course, we saw how the crowd cheered when Traore was introduced. Looks like he has some fans, Brace.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you remember that at a point in time, some Ghanaians were craving for a possible military takeover.
Yeah, that Afrobarometer report pointed to that.
It all stemmed from what he and his colleagues did and the stories we heard that they were doing in government.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that love for him is there.
Yeah,
we see what happens in some 10 years to come. But yes, he has love in Ghana.
He does. And finally, let me just say, my government will be swift, decisive in tackling socio-economic challenges. That's what President Mahama said. And an end of an era, as former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo delivers parting words at Sona. And then, of course, a new day, the journey of Mahama's historic comeback. Most of the stories in here really about yesterday's inauguration. But, Doc, over to you.
Yes, I think I'll look at the Mahama story. That's the big one. If you look at the speech that he gave, it hinges on 4 important things. That he will strengthen, he will set the economy and strengthen its frontiers. He will invest in business and ensure that there is improvement there. And he will also, he talked about government and governance and then constitutional reforms. He also touched on accountability and corruption.
Yeah.
Very important indicators of good governance. And I want him to be able to work on these things very fast because he has no time. 4-year mandate. So he has to hit the ground running and then set the country and set the economy. Once the economy is set and set well, it will rob off other sectors and everybody will be fine.
Right.
But I was disappointed in the speech by one thing that conspicuously missing in President Mahama's speech was the issue of Galamsey. He didn't touch on that. Was expecting that to be part of the 4, to be added to the 4 main items. So maybe, please kindly tell Mr. Mahama that we want him to add Galamsey because the battle continues. We want to deal with this problem head on. And if he's able to do it well, he's going to get people employed in there, and he's going to get Ghanaians supporting him, and we're going to get back our water bodies, which are destroyed, and arable lands destroyed. And the threat against agriculture, particularly cocoa, will be a thing of the past. So I will urge him humbly that he should add it so that we get a 5 points, and then we work around it. Well, issue of a son killing the mother, a very unfortunate story. Look at what parents go through, particularly women, to give birth to children. And at the end of the day, children will take their lives. Well, it's a difficult one. But the good news is that they are at appropriate forum, the court. Yeah. The court has something that they will say at the end of the show. Then the issue of 275 MPs sworn in. A beautiful ceremony, I witnessed. And by all its intents and purposes, it was just a beautiful program. No scene. And we saw a whole group of people who are now getting opportunity to be in parliament, young, old, and then experience being maintained and all that. That blend is good.
Right.
Even though people complain about attrition rate and all that, but that one, we shouldn't worry ourselves, because what we decide is what is in parliament. So at a point in time, when we vote in a certain fashion, that's the result we want.
Yeah.
All that we have to do is that we have to help them to build capacity. And I know Parliament has the ability to inculcate certain values in them, build their capacity, and they become the best. And I was also extremely happy that the Speaker is back. An experience of all, he has seen it all. And a Parliament of this nature is weak ab initio, because you have almost absolute majority on the part of what the NDC. So you need a leader who will be able to, a speaker who will be able to steer the affairs well and hold the balance so that we don't lose out. Let us remember that in a democracy, we're saying it's what majority decision, but we are also interested in what minority interests. The two go hand in hand. So if you have a speaker, you will always protect minority interests. When you lose out, democracy fails.
Right.
And then those of us outside Parliament, all right, we will also make sure that the proper balance is restored. Remember, after 1992 election, there was no opposition in Parliament except for 2 independent candidates. But Parliament, the opposition was outside Parliament, and they did a great job. That is the kind of work we have to do to support Parliament.
Thank you so much, Doc. And let's get into your
let's do the news center, and some interesting stories here. Senate announces 12% increase in monthly pensions for 2025. Okay, so if you're a pensioner, of course, this will come as a good news to you. Mahama begins second term, promises to restore stability and foster development. And there's a feature here. It says hypocrisy. Voices silent during campaign now urging President Mahama not to scrap taxes. So let's go into the stories here. This one says, Mahama describes Akufo-Addo as a worthy opponent. Tinubu pledges support for Mahama administration. It's a moment of emotion for me, Afenyo Marking says, as it delivers final remarks. And I want to do the 12% one because it's interesting to our pensioners. Okay, let me look for, okay. So Senate announces some 12% increase in monthly pensions for 2025. So that is what the Social Security and National Insurance Trust is announcing, that they will increase monthly pensions for 2025 by 12%. So, Doc, let's do these stories. Especially, I have interest in the Senate one.
Yeah, it is a good news by all standards, and that after you have worked and served your country and you want to relax, you don't want to die as a poor person or without even having opportunity to get medication and the rest of them. So if your pension is increased, it's good, and it gives people the opportunity to work hard and then support the scheme so that one day, when they also become old, they can fall on that. We need to expand this. I am looking forward to a day that we will have support for, facilities for old people who have no homes, and then we keep them. That should also occupy our attention, because sometimes you see very old, fragile people lying in the streets, and these are things that going forward we must avert our minds to.
So a housing scheme for older pensioners, or just older people in general?
Older people. There are some people who have never gone through any formal work. So pension, they are out of that scheme. Where do they live? Where do they sleep? Is there any shelter for them? Let us think about that one day. And then as it exists in other parts of the world, that older people's home, that they go there, you have no place, you are there, and then little facility given to you. Then you know that this is your country, and then you are proud of it and all that. These are some of the things that keep people very much attached to their countries. Let us build that capacity now.
Okay, I don't know, but probably let's deal with the point about those who were silent during campaign now, asking President Mahama not to scrap taxes. I mean, are people wrong to look at what the reality is in terms of our economy and urge the president not to scrap the taxes. He promised to do so, because if he does, it probably won't be good for the economy.
Let me start with those who believe that were a number of groups or individuals who could have said something about the ills in our society, and they failed to do that. So for that reason, they have no business in this administration criticizing them and all that. That is wrong, wrong, wrong. They are part of what? The stakeholders of this country. They will continue to speak, and when they want to speak, they can speak at any time. But if you take that position too, there is also a cost to that. The cost is that sometimes you come under serious attack. That matters that we needed your voice, you were what? Absent. But that aside, taxes are important. If you study state capacity, that is the ability of the state to make policy and enforce them. It's part of what we call in political science state capacity. One aspect is what extractive capacity. The state must make use of what all available resources to generate revenue to run its own affairs. It is, compulsory on the part of the state to generate resources from within and use it to run its own affairs. So if the state is able to do that, it will save itself by going with a cap in hand, going globe-trotting to get what? Money to run its affairs. So if people advise that don't scrap these taxes, I think I am with them. Sometimes campaign can lead you into making all manner of statements, but the reality will dawn on you. If you take away these taxes, this A, B, C, D, E, F, what are you going to run the affairs of the state with? And that is going to be challenged. So in election campaign, even though we want to promise, we must be moderate or modest about it, because it will come back to what? Bite us bitterly. I don't believe that some of the taxes should go. Okay. They should remain. If you want to reduce the magnitude of the tax or the burden, fine. But complete what? Taking it away, I disagree.
Which of the taxes do you want maintained?
I want e-levy to be maintained. Okay. I want it to be maintained. But if you want to do something about the level, fine. Because it's one surest means by which government can raise revenue to run the affairs of the state. Okay. So if you work on the tax burden and then you can reduce it, you will get a lot of people coming in to support. But taking it away, I'm afraid. Look at the number of people who transfer money day in, day out. And I, from day one, I have never been against what e-levy. When the conversation at that time was that, should we scrap it or maintain it at 1.5 or 1? I was part of those who believe in 1%, because the economists at the time and the financial experts that we can bear. So if this government can look at it and then work on the burden to reduce it a little bit for people to be able to get more people to pay, why not? But taking it away, I disagree.
Right.
Yeah, all right.
Let me bring in these two stories quickly, and then Samuel, I'll return to you. CD to end 2025 around 17.70 to dollar. That is a report. The Ghana cedi is projected to close the year around 17.70 to $1 in 2025, with a deviation of 20 pesos. That's according to Data Bank research, and they're revealing this, that its expectation is supported by the likely strengthening of gold reserves and the upgrade of the Ghanaian economy, which is expected to boost market sentiment. And 28th Gusa Games opens in Cape Coast. There was a splendid performance to herald the opening of the 28th Ghana University Sports Association Gusa Games, currently ongoing in Cape Coast. And it's a 15-day event on the theme Repositioning University Sports for National Development, and it featured all 16 public universities. But there's something interesting which I like. They're saying that sales soared at President Mahama's inauguration. Several hundreds of traders cashed in on the swearing in of President John Dramani Mahama and his Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, yesterday at the Black Star Square. And the traders displayed the NDC paraphernalia, including T-shirts, handkerchiefs, etc. And most of the items, they say, were sold out at very cheap prices. So at least the traders cashed in yesterday. Could you any more before we go to the overseer?
I think all the papers, the Inquisitor is still about the swearing in.
Right.
Fact that the voter NDC is congratulating Professor Prosper Bunny on his appointment as head of interim national security. Bagbin vows to deliver responsible and fair parliament. I think, basically about what is happening with inauguration and all of that.
Doc,
but
some
it was
quick reflect.
Eurojet accuses Akufo-Addo of illegality. But
should we get into it?
Well,
if Eurojet is accusing former president,
this is what came up before the inauguration. Remember last week, Eurojet put out a statement in which they were saying that they did not give permission to the government for the president to go and commission.
I'm wondering if it's an update, something that we
it's still the same thing on January 4th.
All right. Doc, any quick reflections on the headlines so far? I still have one more.
I look at the sales saw at the program. It is to be expected. On occasions like this, people will go there for pomp and pageantry. But besides that, people will also go for their daily bread. They sell and all that. It is fine, provided they keep the environment clean there. But that aside, there is something that is missing in all this story. I wanted to see a story on the vice president, the first lady, moving from the first woman vice chancellor to the first woman vice president. It is a big story. It escaped the attention of my colleague journalist. I mean, this is a big story. A big in the sense that this is a woman that people chastise, people said all manner of negative things. But here you are. The good people of this country has held the woman high, putting women at the highest level of our life. It is my hope and prayer that one day we'll get a woman who is a president. I enjoy Legon today because a lot of people who are holding positions in Legon are women, and I salute them. I want more because women have a lot to share, a lot to give to society. So we should do our best to support them at all times. So I was very happy to see a woman. And I am also happy that when the call came for people to speak, I spoke about it, that she is fit for purpose. And today, the people of Ghana have voted to vindicate my position and those who also think alike. Going forward, let us support women. Let us develop them. Let us build capacity. And then at the end of the day, we can get the best. We will support every woman. I will work to support every woman because I believe that there are certain potentials that they have, but our society, because of its patriarchal nature, we have not tapped. Let us tap and build our society.
Doc, I'm curious, just a quick follow-up. Do you think this is because it's normal that more attention is given to the president rather than advice? I get the analogy that it's the first time we're getting a female vice president, but is there the same hullabaloo there would be if the vice president was a man? Do you think?
Men, we have seen men in public office time and again. But at the highest office, we have not seen women. So for you to get a woman vice president, I wanted to see big headline on that. I'm not the one teaching them how to do journalism. No, but for me, from where I sit, that's a big story. It's a big story because all this while we are saying that let us develop the girl child, so and so. And we have built capacity from this and other women that today we have a first woman vice chancellor, which is a big one. If you are, all of you are familiar with the university and the kind of human resource there for you to be singled out as a vice chancellor, you've seen it all. And then you run that, microcosm of what? The university is the microcosm of the country. You run that and then you come to the national level and you are selected and become the vice president. It's a big one. I support that call, the call for gender parity, the call for women empowerment. For me, that's the basis of any civilized society.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and it's good news for those of us who are from the University of Cape Coast. We've produced the first female vice president for Ghana.
Yes.
But there's also another story in the Inquisitor, which of course is interesting. Alan Chromanting is urging the Mahama government to establish a $2 billion market infrastructure development in the wake of the Kantamanto issue. And Guta is appealing to the Gbese stool. Is it Gbese? the Gbese stool to allow temporary wooden structures. Doc, I don't know if you want to touch on, especially the 2 billion Market Infrastructure Development Fund.
Can you, hit on that?
Okay.
I missed
so
that.
So it says, after witnessing the devastation caused by the recent fire at the Kantamanto Market, Alan Tremontin, leader of the Movement for Change and a prominent advocate for economic transformation, has called on the government to establish a $2 billion Market Infrastructure Development Fund. Speaking to journalists, he described the fund as a sustainable solution to financing the development of modern market infrastructure across the country, which he sees as critical to revitalizing commerce and distributive trade.
I think that proposal is an apt description of the situation on the ground. I always respect Alan Tremontin. He's a man of ideas and wisdom. I have no doubt in my mind that this is what we need. Not that we rush and go and give money. I'm not saying it's not good. It is temporary. But for permanent solution, we need a fund like this so that we'll build modern market. I go to the market. I've told my wife that you should stay home for a while. Let me visit the market and have, first-hand experience in the market. The way where our women sell. Go to Medina, which I visit all the time. Sometimes where they sit, you will see mud, you will see very unkept conditions. And I ask myself, if markets were like this in America and London, are we going to, patronize such places? I want women's dignity to be lifted up. Let us develop a better place for them to make a living. They also are entitled to that. And if you see our market, it's a sorry story. So people go there, set fire, and today they are very hot. All right, we need something that will stand the test of time. So a fund like this is a solution for the future. That is not to rubbish people who want to support and all that, going to give something to relieve them of their pain and all that. It's a good thing. But going forward as a state, all that I want is permanent solution. And public policy must move towards that. Public policy is future problem we are solving today. I want to see a real public policy in that direction.
Okay, all right. Interesting.
There's something that also stuck out for me yesterday. When President John Mahama started his speech about geopolitical, the powers that be, the divides and all that, I thought for a second that he was going to maybe align,
with the BRICS.
or something. And then he cleverly just, he didn't actually align. He just said that, we are aware that there's a situation like this going on, the powers are shifting.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very strategic in a way, saying that Ghana is also ready, a power that you can contend with. We are going to be aligning in either of these, world powers. So just get ready for us.
So
I don't know.
With the background, where do you think if we have to align, he'll probably take that?
Of course. I don't think that we are good. From the analysis that he did about the projected GDP growth and all that, you can clearly tell
was 37.5% in 2024, as against the 30-point-something% for US, UK, and so.
What would you rather do, growing power or declining? Let me throw that to Dr. Kwame Asante. Doc, how did you find that bit about Mahama's speech?
No, I didn't get that. What was about that speech that you want me to know? About
his comments on the geopolitical powers and how the G7 seemingly are not the ones running things right now, and the BRICS are also doing great. And so what I was saying is that it was interesting that he started but didn't actually align with anyone. He left it very cleverly open. I don't know what you made of it.
I follow that, but alignment, those things put you in a very tight corner, and you are not able to navigate your way properly. So that strategy was a good one, so that you create a window of opportunity. When there are difficulties, you can run through. But tied to it was something I observed yesterday from international relation perspective, that you saw African leaders coming in their numbers to congratulate him here. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was a big one. It is a total endorsement of the people of Africa, saying that, hey, a new wind is blowing in Ghana. Let us be part and parcel of it. In international relations, when you have leaders of that nature visiting an important occasion like that, it sends signal to people who are lovers of those states that these are our friends that you can also be your friends and all that. We saw African leaders, Nigeria particularly, 3 leaders, 2 past leaders, and what? The current leader. Very interesting. And you saw the ones from what? Kigami and the rest of them, including, those from what? Latin America. Then I realized that, wow, we are getting a certain picture, because in the 19th, when Buzias assumed the reins of government, there was a day that the wife of the U.S. president visited Ghana. And that was one of the things that also boosted our investor confidence.
Right.
That when you begin to have these people coming, it's a good sign. Yesterday, you saw the German head of state also here. I said, that's it. That's it. It is my hope and prayer that the government will take advantage of this and build this country along the lines that we can make benefit out of this.
Okay. I thought Dr. Asante was going to go the military ruler who had a lot of chairs.
Traore, Ibrahim.
Yeah, if you want me to touch on that, I decided to be quiet.
Right.
Yes, the leader was here and all that. People were cheering him. I had a different position because of my, I detest military rule.
Okay.
I detest that. It doesn't matter what you do and all that. And yesterday, I think I shared a little bit of it with you.
Yes.
So, yes, you can look at it from another perspective that, yes, you want to call the friendship of all of them. Who knows that one day they can abandon what they are doing and join ECOWAS and all that. And then also eventually disengage and hand over power to this. But I also have a different view about the military. That's I will let me suspend that for now. And let us be in the mood of celebrating another birth of our republic.
Right.
But did you realize that from Nigeria there were some billionaires who came? Tony Elumelu was here. I also saw a picture of the husband to that actress. I've forgotten his name. He's also a billionaire. That there's a young Nigerian actress who's married to a billionaire.
Yes.
He was also here. If those billionaires are coming in, then of course it tells you
like our president is popular.
or maybe to take advantage of the opportunities in Ghana. And why not? We are with arms open. We'll welcome them to invest in this country.
And he actually says, let me quote this from the Overseer newspaper. It says, to the business leaders and entrepreneurs, I invite you to support this new model and join me in shaping a business environment where utility thrives and fruits of your investment contribute to the collective welfare of our nation. Basically saying that Ghana is open for business again. So if you were waiting, observing to see how the end of these, the Akufo-Addo administration will be and, how we will smoothly transition to his administration now, well, we are ready and set, so come in and invest. And we should be wrapping up, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Dr. Asante, we are grateful to you that you could find time this morning to join us here on the AM show.
Have a good day and continue to support the cause of this republic. I wish you a good day.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Asante is head of the European Center at the University of Ghana, and he's been with us here. Okay, but I guess that, yesterday, so the Nigerian person I was talking about was Regina Daniels.
Regina Daniels,
Yeah, the husband is a billionaire. I saw him and Tony Elumelu here. Tony Elumelu, of course, I saw him going to congratulate President Mahama. He is one person who has really pumped a lot of money into, young people on the African continent.
Well, we should be wrapping up. And thank you so much, Doc, for joining us. Please stay because sports comes up next in a bit. Please keep watching the AM show.